Welcome back. Big Time Auto Racing episode 40. Milestone episode. We raced this past weekend at the Ace Speedway. Well, Brandon raced, I should say. I'm your host, Dylon Wilson, here with my co-host, Brandon Pierce, both drivers on the Z-Max Cars Late Model Stock Tour. And, man, interesting little weekend. Brandon, how was it?
Well, it was that good old cliche saying of it was going great till it wasn't. Is probably just the best way to put it. I can say for our viewers, we did go back to qualifying like shit. So glad I dropped back in that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe now Wilkesboro, you'll qualify good.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But no, I do want to tip the cap to the tour, altering, the schedule. Obviously it did suck. The night did get cut short. They got exactly right past halfway for the pro race, and then unfortunately didn't get to run the legend cars, and they had a hell of a field of them too. I think there was over 20 of them there. But I just thought the tour did a great job getting the show in. They did get a little bit of rain, obviously, but they did a good job. So we unfortunately ended up in the DNF column. So I know we'll touch on that, and it unfortunately involved the points leader and Connor Hall, but man, just racing hard. I mean, you know how that place is. You've raced there. It's another Wake County, right? I feel like it's kind of Wake County 2.0. So, but I will say too, good fan turnout despite all odds with the weather, and we had a first time winner at least for the year, and he dominated. So up and down weekend for us, but kind of like you touched on, man. If I had to pick to get the bad luck out of the way, hopefully this will do that, and we can go have us a solid Wilkesboro here at the next one.
Yeah, Ace is a neat little track. It's kind of paperclip shaped in a way, tight corners, very hard on brakes. A lot of times you'll see very exciting restarts here. I mean, I just feel like that always, that can be said for about any track in the Cars Tour, but I think here more so than anywhere, it's always exciting when caution's coming out, because it's about to get crazy going into one. Somebody's going to dive in there or block or whatever. Like, somebody usually makes something happen. So Ace is always fun. It's definitely, it almost seems like it is strategically placed right before Wilkesboro just to make everybody mind their P's and Q's. But for the most part, nobody really mind their P's and Q's. But it was it was good racing. I mean, it was a good product. It wasn't a bunch of just mangled up shit on TV or nothing. I don't want to portray that I felt like it was like that, but definitely
wasn't the best. From lack of trying.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you definitely tried like hell. But I mean, as for the rest of the
damn, I wasn't talking about me.
Well,
thanks.
I mean, you did try like hell. You tried like hell one time, and so did several others. But that wasn't necessarily a I don't know. I wouldn't call it a shit show of a race, but it was close to it. And like I said, it might be strategically placed before Wilkesboro to make everybody kind of get on their shit beforehand.
Yeah, I would say, all jokes aside, I think you're onto something there. Like, it was, I went back and watched the race in its entirety yesterday, I believe, and so don't get me wrong, we still tore some stuff up, and there was still some rooting and gouging, but that just comes with the racetrack, right?
Oh yeah.
I would argue to say it was probably one of the better Ace races, and some people might call me crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong, we were all punting each other, but there was a lot less clips, I guess. Is that? I mean, just to cut to the blunt of it. I mean, there's people who need new bodies, right? But I would say if you go to Ace, you get out there with just that, you're probably okay. Like, you'll take that over the ultimatum of the opposite. So, and I think too, like you said, what makes that place so interesting, like you said, any tour restart is exciting, but man, this weekend, I think everybody there was just that constant sense of urgency because we all knew we were racing the weather. I mean, there was times we were riding around and, rain was coming down. I remember one restart in particular, we come off a 2, we're coming to green, and spotter says we're going green. I keyed up. I said, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
Because I I thought for sure they were going to, either ride us around or bring us down or something, and we did, and it all worked out, right? But yeah, Ace is always interesting because I think you can, even give some input on it. For as small as it is, you're carrying a good rate of speed at the end of both straightaways, but then it's super tight corners. And I think that's why when somebody does get out of shape, instead of just seeing one or two of us get in there, it's 6 to 8 of us that pile in.
Yeah, definitely can. You see a lot of accordion effect issues go on there, and a lot of tore up noses and stuff, as to be expected with any bull ring. But a lot of times you'll see some guys beef up the bumper bars and stuff, expecting that, so you don't necessarily see it get too bad. But again, our marquee race is the week after that, so like you see guys approach it a little bit differently. But then again, it's the 4th race of the year, so I mean, you can't approach it lightly by any stretch of the imagination. So you gotta go out there and do your thing, like Landen Lewis did. I thought that Ryan Millington was going to go in there and get the job done, and he did run good. Obviously he finished second. Was right there in the mix all day, but didn't get the job done. Landen Lewis, however, made a big statement, and that was with Rodney Childers on the box. So that was kind of neat. Rodney Childers left Spire a couple weeks ago on the Cup side of things and rekindled the old flame with Kevin Harvick, and is kind of back in the mix with KHI a little bit, it looks like. So he was a little bit a part of that win. I wasn't there, obviously, so I don't really know the full story there, but pretty cool to see all that, and that come back full circle. Do you see much on that, Brandon? Or
yeah, so they were pitted right beside us.
Oh, okay.
So Rodney was there both days. He was very involved, and I've obviously known Rodney, for a little while, and have talked to him some, but got to talk to him a decent amount this weekend, and I think it goes without saying, right? He's a super intelligent guy, and what he's done and accomplished speak for itself. He's very smart, and as he's touched on other interviews and stuff he's done, his goals and ambitions are still to compete at the Cup level and win races, and that was part of the reason why his deal at Spire didn't work out. So, but it's like he told us, and I know he told other people, he's a racer, right? So he had the itch and come on out to Ace this past weekend and helped Kevin's late model program, and I would say he did just that.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, showed pretty quickly that he was an influence for sure. However, he has me blocked on Twitter. I have no idea why. Never talked to the guy in my life. Never tweeted at him. I don't even tweet much, period. So I actually noticed this like 5 years ago, and I was like, damn.
Are you sure it's his account?
Yeah.
Like, and not a burner account?
No, he's definitely got me blocked. I don't know why. I'm telling you, I've never tweeted the guy. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But,
breaking news, folks. That is. Yeah. I can honestly say I'm shocked.
Yeah. So that sucks. I'm a fan, but he blocked me for some reason. I feel like it was an accident. I feel like accidental blocks happen.
Yeah. Well, guess what? We live in a time and place where you may just have the opportunity, brother, to go and ask.
Well, that's all right. Childers. It's all right. There ain't really nothing I'm tweeting that he really cares about seeing anyway. I was just saying he does have me blocked. That's a fun fact. Also, with Connor Hall, didn't have a good day. Like we talked about, he had some tire trouble early. Not all sure what happened with him, Brandon. What all went down with Connor on during the race?
So there at the beginning, he took off like a bat out of hell, and he was leading by 6-8 car lengths, and I don't know the exact number, but I want to say it was around lap 17-ish or so, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Okay.
He said he went off into 1 and 2 and felt it go down. So he went off into 3 and 4, and me and you have a podcast together, right? So this is where me and you get to have fun and bring up all the topics that people.
Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Was the why there was not a 2-lap penalty concurred there.
Yeah, I'm hoping to find that out this week because I fell victim to it at Wilkesboro last year. I had a power steering belt blow off getting into 3, pulled up high, never stopped rolling. I want to make sure that I'm being very clear. I'm not saying that Connor stopped on Saturday. He did not. However, the way the rule has been stated is that if you stop and/or intentionally bring out the caution.
There is an and/or in there.
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
I guess that's pretty important.
Yeah. To bring the intent to bring out the caution, slow to bring out the caution, it's going to be a penalty.
Right.
I think we can all agree he did just that.
Mm-hmm.
And he did not receive the penalty. Got to come in, change the tire, and go back out. So my only issue with it is it has nothing to do with Connor. Nothing whatsoever. My issue is just the act, the situation. Because like I said, obviously for me, I'm able to relate to it because it happened to me.
Right.
And I think all of us just want some consistency. Dale himself touched on it, I believe, yesterday on Twitter, X, and specifically speaking in regards to Caden's, and I believe his exact words was that he felt like that should have been a penalty because Caden did stop. But again, that one wasn't a penalty either.
Okay.
So definitely a lot of us, myself included, wanting some clarification from race control after this weekend. I think that's fair to say. I think that's okay to say. I mean, the entire garage area was wanting some clarification on it.
Oh yeah, you're not the only one.
And didn't get it. And it's important, right? And I think all of us just want the ground. We love this series. It's a great series. All of us just want there to be no gray area, though, right? Whatever is black and white, it needs to be, addressed as black and white and acted upon in that favor. So I think it's safe to say this weekend that if we're calling spades, I don't think that was done. And hopefully they're going to clarify on that, I would assume, before we get to Wilkesboro and make right on it moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Ace Speedway was obviously a, cool little event. We always, I wouldn't say we always are excited to go there, but we're, there's always something exciting going to happen at Ace, it seems like. From the driver's perspective, it's just one of those places that I would imagine most people feel like about about Wake. I love going to Wake, but most people probably like, God dang, here we go. But anyway, so it just so it is it's one of those, it's just one of those places. It can be a nail biter, especially on equipment and stuff like that, but it's also can put on a hell of a race. Mm-hmm. We do have our track ratings, of course, coming up, so we'll get more into the specifics of the racetrack. We did get a review from the bathroom that was not great. Not great. We'll get into that a little bit more, and that was just on the stall. But everything else seemed to be really good for Ace Speedway. So shout out to Ace for putting on another good Cars Tour race. They've always been pretty solid on the races there. People have kind of, me included, have kind of bashed Ace a little bit in the past, but just seems to always put on the exciting shows that made good TV. You know what I mean? So that's definitely cool to see. So yeah, one of those deals where they thought rain was coming, so the strategy changed a little bit. Obviously throughout the field, you're going to see comers and goers earlier than normal. Ace isn't a track that wears out tires a whole lot. I mean, do you feel like how was the tire wear situation for this week?
I thought the tire was, so I've had the opportunity to race on the different molds, types of tires that we've ran in the tour over the last, handful of years. I feel like at Ace, normally it's just kind of a balance thing. Like as far as what you fight, I don't think you necessarily fight tire wear, you fight tire heat.
Yeah.
So, if you're free or tight or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, for sure.
Drive off, if you start slipping them, you're going to start to fight that kind of that greasy feel. So, yeah, I thought the tire held up great. I thought you could, or at least I can speak for myself. There was times where I was hammering on it pretty good and started slipping it a little bit and was able to kind of drop back and then cool it down and just kind of get in a rhythm and then make another charge at a group of cars or at a guy in front of me and then complete that pass. And I like that. I think that's great for racing, right? Like to sit there and be able to kind of fall back and it's not an advantage, right? It's just knowing that you can do that if you're disciplined enough to do it, to be able to, kind of cool them off or like me and you talked at the beginning of the show, get a caution and ride around and cool them off and take another jab at it. So, I thought the tire held up great. I thought it raced great. And so yeah, I thought it was a good showing for this F45 Star tire this past weekend.
Yeah, good little. I do think each time we go to Ace, you do see a little bit of a different product, especially, we're on different compounds. I felt like this one was pretty unique.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Connor, with the tire issue he had, kind of changes the flow of the race. I think if Connor and Landen is up there racing early, you might see more players because Landen's kind of, he's pressured a little bit more. So that's just one of those things, man. One of those deals. Do you feel like on practice day, who was the favorites on practice day? Do you feel like it kind of stayed the same throughout the weekend, or was it, do you see guys that were shocking, or somebody you weren't expecting?
No, I mean, so like I said again, and I'm not trying to play favorites. I do like Landen a lot, Landen Lewis, but they were pitted right beside us. I felt like so they kind of had a mixed bag of a weekend, I would say, as where they did make a lot of speed runs, Q runs, but they also made some long runs. And so obviously I'm always a driver that pays attention to that. I try myself when I'm able to do that. If I feel like we're close enough or have a tire situation where, we feel like we got enough rubber left to go make a long run, and then we're going to ditch that set to do that. And I thought he was pretty sporty when he did that. I also got out behind him one time in the middle of one of those long runs and was able to stay close enough to him to see how he was, and I felt like he was pretty good. So I would say it didn't change a whole lot. I feel like kind of what me and you touched on last episode. I thought Millington was pretty solid all weekend. Again, Landen Lewis, I thought he was good. Connor, it was good, right? He's going to be good anywhere he goes. I would say where it transferred from practice day to race day is obviously the O3 found some speed, and was able to kind of mix it up there with those guys early on. And then, too, just from going back, looking at it, he didn't get the finish to show for it, right? But, like, at the end of the race there, I'd say over the last 40-ish laps, Andrew Grady, dude, was the fastest car on the racetrack. I mean, he was coming. And then had an issue and ended up getting a DNF as well. So there was definitely some comers and goers, but I would say as far as the favorites, I would say the favorited three of who I thought you'd probably need to watch for the weekend stayed the same. And the only one that didn't really get to finish up there because he had a plethora of issues throughout the race, obviously, was the 88.
Right. Well, so you're typical guys, not a lot of local guys this time around at Ace Speedway.
Yeah, that surprised me a little bit. I know me and you talked about
Yeah.
that. I think it's TBD, right? But I feel like when me and you film our next episode, we'll have an answer for that. And what I mean by that is when the entry list comes out, if you see those guys on there, which if I had to make a decision on that right now, that's where my stance on it is I think maybe why they skipped out on Ace was to save their car to go to Wilkesboro.
Yeah.
That's where I'm thinking, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the the recap or the ratings of the track itself, let's get into your race recap. Let's your weekend from the get go.
Yes. So I was pretty happy with our car all day practice day. We didn't really exemplify anything I would say of like lightning speed, but I've learned over the years and over my races at Ace that the times that I didn't necessarily show that raw speed was when I had my better race cars as far as drivability and maneuverability for the race, which I think at that track is very important because everybody is so close on speed. But if you get long runs, that's where guys will start to fall off or start to lose drive off. And if you have a well-balanced car, that's where you can, take advantage of it and make gains and go forward. So I wasn't too worried. I do think for us, so it did rain right before qualifying. We were already on the snug side. I think where the legends came out and then the pros went. By the time I went, we went kind of late this week in qualifying. We went out like 21st, which is funny because that's about right where we qualified. We qualified 20th, so the track just tightened up. I just knew we were too snug, and so it did make me a little worried for the race. And unfortunately, when we fired off, we were just that. We were too snug. had that caution for when Connor's tire went down. We pitted, and man, after we pitted, our night or afternoon come alive. I mean, we immediately started marching forward. I mean, yes, we were the beneficiary of a few bang ups, but so was
Did you make
everybody, right?
adjustments during that stop, or
Yeah, we came in, made an adjustment, freed up just a little bit. I mean, I didn't need much because I was happy with our drive. We were just getting beat through the center. People were just being able to make their straightaways sooner than we were.
did you play with the brakes a lot during the race there, or no?
I did. I tried to get away with as much the rear as I could and dialed it back some as needed, especially on that long run.
Yeah.
But I didn't ever fight brake fade necessarily. I fought, starting to get a little bit of squishy pedal due to heat because of the long run, but I feel like that's pretty common there.
Yeah.
But as far as like brake shake or like, I never overheated them, I'd say, where I started actually losing brakes. Just had to start kind of backing up my
Do you
entry a
use
little
brake
bit.
fan much there, like periodically
Yeah,
or anything?
I pretty much run my fronts there all race, especially if I'm in traffic.
Rears just if you're loose or.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
we fired off, like I said, and was too tight, was able to come and make those adjustments, got back out, and we started going forward right off the rip. And then I fell into that around the 3/4 mark of the race. We had that long green flag run. I'm not exactly sure how many laps it was, but I know we were inside of the window of where we were not going to have any more competition cautions. And the 28 had gotten into me earlier in the race. Connor leaned on me a little bit to get by me. No harm, no foul. I was a little upset with the 28 of how he got by me. I got back by him. He got to me again, did the same thing. So I was already a little irritated with the 28. But long story short, I ran those guys down. They had gotten about half a straightaway out on me and was single file at that time. And as I started catching them, Connor actually started making another run at Landen, and they started racing side by side. And the group behind us was starting to catch us again, and I felt like I was better than them. And I'm a little disappointed in myself. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, just like you, and but I think it just goes to show we're all human, right? Like, I don't think Connor put together one of his best races either. And he's one of the top late model stock racers in the country. All of us on any given day can still make mistakes, and that's what I did. I got too greedy, had a hell of a run off of 2, and felt like it was my opportunity to try to go forward, and that's what I did. And it just come down. I misjudged it by a foot. I honestly feel like if I hit Landon a foot further forward or a foot further backwards, we're going to make contact, but I think we're still racing. Yeah. It was just a thing of all of us know in these cars, when you hit wheels, it normally doesn't end too well, and that's exactly what happened. So it sent us spinning, and even then we were going to be fine, have no damage. I mean, I'm assuming my toe was maybe going to be off a little bit, but I mean, that's pretty common for a place like Ace.
I think you should just, I think the best thing for you next time is just not lift at all. Clean them both
Go right through the turn 4 suite.
Keep it digging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna say how you should have done it, but no, I mean, it's part of it. You ain't gotta. I mean, that's shit happens when you're trying to send it. You know what I mean? Like you got what you got at that point in the race, and going into 3, it seemed like you were going to be having to be make a 3 wide move, which is why you put it so low. And obviously, it's just hard to judge how much traction you're gonna have at that point, that low on the corner, when you never run that low. And then you're trying to beat them off. You don't want to pause. You're trying to beat them off the corner. And not have to work 30 more laps on your damn tires, or 30 laps worth of work with 5 laps of racing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I think you put it great. I mean, for me, because I've went back and watched it, and obviously I have the benefit of having my GoPro
footage. The goal is to beat them off.
Yeah.
That's all you try to do is beat them off, dude.
Yeah. Beat them off the corner, yeah. So, no, I mean, I think you hit on it best. I went in there that low thinking I was still going to be 3. Obviously, everything happened so fast, so I wasn't made aware that at the last second, Connor decided to dump out of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, at that point, making it too wide.
You're already and after going at that point.
Yeah, I was committed. I mean, I was going to make contact, I feel like, with the 28 either way. but I knew what I was trying to do, which was go ahead and give myself position on Connor on entry, which I obviously achieved. But I think Landon was made aware that he had cleared the 88 and that then was just racing me. So if you watch, I mean, he didn't do anything wrong, right? And I don't feel like I did either. I then moved up to be what would be my left sides on the paint and still anticipating that Huffman was going to be running the middle to really what I'd call 2/3 groove, where he had started to turn down,
right,
as I probably would have too, to give himself a straight exit. So when he was coming down and I was going up, it was inevitable we were going to make contact. And I just happened, my right front hit his left rear, and I went spinning. I did what I always try to do, which is especially in the car store, because you know you're going to have guys right on you, because it's so hard to get away. Just fed it a little bit of throttle to spin down the racetrack, thinking that Connor was probably following the 28 once he saw me spinning. Obviously unaware that that's not what he was going to do. And next thing you know, I was looking at the entire underbody of the 88 car, and I honest to God thought he was going to flip over.
His damn head went like 2 inches from the tractor tire.
Yeah.
That was pretty crazy.
So that was pretty big, and unfortunately when that happened, that ended our night. At first I thought it might all just be cosmetic. Obviously it stalled the car, so once I got it fired back up and pulled away, I knew the toe was killed because my wheel mark was way off. And then obviously once I got it back to my guys, it just killed the upper, the shock, and all that stuff. So that unfortunately ended our night. So it was disappointing for me because I personally feel like we were definitely going to get by both of them and drive away from them. I feel very confident in that because, like I said,
you were ninth right then?
Ninth, had passed for eighth. Yeah. Obviously clearing Connor, and then Landon was seventh. So I think regardless, we're going to finish there if we don't run anybody else down. Right. Which after qualifying 20th and going all the way back and then coming back up there under green, I mean, that would have been a good night. So, like I said, that one just falls on me. But this shit is so hard, man. Me and you talk about it every week. I mean, everybody that knows anything about this series talks about it every week. So, I'm not in this to tear anything up. I can't say that any of us are. Yeah. But I'm also not in it to lay over for anybody, especially when it's 25 to go. That's when I feel like everything kind of hits another level, and especially at a smaller track like Ace. At that point it's all take and no more give. You're out of gives at that point. So was trying to put us in our best position and give us the best result, and I still think I was doing that. Like I said, just misjudged it by about a foot and ultimately ended our night. But was proud of our effort, had a really good car. I mean, I was very, very satisfied with my car. I feel like that's probably one of the better cars I've had all year, and we had brought a package of what we needed to race good. Obviously didn't qualify where we wanted to, but I think it was one of those things of just for us, in order to have a good driving race car, we were going to have to give up some speed, and then it would even out in the race, and I think it did just that. So we'll get her fixed up and take her on to Wilkesboro. But like I said, proud of my guys and everybody at Carroll Speed Shop for what they did this past weekend. And we've been putting some solid runs together here lately. Obviously, Cordele was unfortunate with the fuel situation. Orange County faded late, but had speed all night, and then had speed all weekend at Ace. So I'd love to say that was the third strike on the bad luck-ish, so to speak, and we can go on to Wilkesboro here in about a week and a half and have us a good night.
Yeah, no doubt. Not long before Wilkesboro, but before we transition into Wilkesboro, we got a little bit of track ratings to do. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. Last year, Season 2, Ace had a average score. We raced there twice last year. Had an average score of 6.6 throughout their two races. So not a crazy good score, but middle of the pack, definitely middle of the pack probably throughout the season last year. So not a bad score. Let's see how it stacks up this year. Starting off with fun factor. So how fun was it to race? Could you pass? Was there a lot of strategy? Obviously, I did not race this weekend, so Brandon will be the sole rating fellow this weekend or today.
Yeah, I'm gonna be biased, but I'm gonna give it an 8. I mean, I had fun. I mean, but I was passing cars left and right, so Yeah, I mean, I was passing cars left and right, so it was going to be fun. I mean, it was fun to sit there and race guys and set them up and kind of see everybody. You know, you'd sit there and feel like, oh yeah, I got him, and then get crossed over and be right back to battling like hell with that guy for 2 or 3 laps. I also too though was able to make the top work a little bit. I was pretty
It
good on the
seemed like a
top.
couple people did. It worked a little more than you. Maybe that's a tire thing or what?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I
Track
mean, I
temp.
can
I
tell
don't
you this.
know.
It made me way more confident because normally I'm like, damn, dude, am I really like you're starting on top and you're immediately trying to get down.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
off
No,
of
I
two, if
thought
you've
the
got to
same thing.
run, if you've got to run, turn it hard left. By the way, going to use this time to apologize to Minnie Tyrell. I did clear the shit out of myself. I'm sorry, buddy. I know you cut me a break.
You'll have
He
that
did
next
also
time
say
auto racing.
hello. Yeah, he did say hello when I did it too, because I think it caught him by surprise. So, Minnie, you definitely owe me, but I appreciate you not turning me head on in the inside wall.
We'll get
But yeah,
you.
man,
Is he old enough to drink beer yet?
I don't know. We'll have to hook him up at Wilkesboro if he is. He's got to be
Well,
close.
if he ain't, we'll get him a damn Gatorade.
Yeah. But I was able to make top work, man, especially on restarts. And like I said, even a couple times on guys, if I slipped up in the corner or kind of slipped on my drive off to pin them down and get the run again and clear them. So, that was cool, to make Ace not be so bottom feeder, and could actually, make some hay up top and could hang on up there. Now, I'm not saying you wanted to spend all day up there, but for 5, 6, I think at one point I was up there about 10 laps and I didn't lose a spot. So, um, that was definitely something I could say was new.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, it was outside of the tearing up stuff. Like I said, that but that's kind of neither here nor there. I mean, it's unfortunate, but as far as everything up to that point, like I said, being able to pass cars without jacking them up. I mean, I didn't jack up anybody. I would rub a quarter pound or something to move them up a little bit, but I mean, I never even punted anybody to the next lane. It's just
Mm-hmm.
little beep beep coming through. So yeah, man, I give it an 8.
All right. So track atmosphere. We got fan turnout, events, promotions, track side. How was all that this time around?
So again, they're gonna fall victim probably a little bit here because of the weather, right?
Yeah.
That definitely affect them because I know even you can touch on that. Whenever we do race at Ace, they normally sell the place out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I think they've had to turn some people away before. So I would say with the way that the circumstances were with the weather, they still had a pretty stellar crowd. Um, as far as the promotional stuff, I mean, I live relative. I mean, I can't say like I don't live 15. It ain't 15 minutes down the road or nothing, but I feel like I live close enough in like the surrounding area of what the market is as far as radio and all that stuff where you would normally hear something like say if it's Caraway or heck I'd even say Racing at Sobo or something, but
Right.
never really heard that much. The track did a decent amount I would say on their Facebook and stuff and obviously Folsom Fence. So and then atmosphere, trackside, they don't like have trackside parking, but I do feel like it's kind of cool there how they have the back straightaway seating. I've always thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like
it is
that's where they
cool.
have their beer hut.
The old
So
brick wall.
yeah, so it's still unique. And I think it's still good enough. They do have the suites right there off of 4, which that's also pretty unique too. I feel like most places we go, they're just right on the front stretch. So I think it's kind of cool there that it's got its own spot. So I'll give it a 7.
All right, 7. So how about the facilities? The lighting, infrastructure, the eye appeal, infield elbow room, and spotter stand at the Speedway.
I mean, the facility, man, they always make it look great. Like, I had a couple people even saying something to me, like, "Man, where'd you race this past week?" Just people like watching on Flow because they went around there and painted everything, like all the track lines and all that stuff.
Nice.
So I will even like in practice, even it almost looked like a new racetrack. I mean, it really did. Like
That's
it
cool.
was,
I like when they do that.
white. Yeah, white paint on blacktop. I mean, it stands out, right? And I mean, it was like crystal clear, fresh
I like the
paint. So
lines on the racetracks don't get painted as often as they should.
I would agree. And I mean, like I
Yeah,
said,
like
at Ace
hash
this
marks
weekend,
and shit.
yeah, it stood out. I mean, like it was very, you know, easy to be like, man, this is different.
Well, that's good.
So that was a nice touch. I really like that. The Turners always do a great job of, like I said, again, paint the walls, and stuff, and grandstands are clean and grass is cut. It sits on a pretty piece of property, all that stuff. Infield elbow room this weekend was good. I'm obviously going to be able to be biased on that though because I had a pretty damn good parking spot.
Where'd you have?
So I was like 2 over from the concession stand, man, and it was just the big rig of Rackley with their 2 pros,
Nice.
Landon, and then us.
Yeah,
so
plenty of room there.
Yeah. So spotter stand there. I mean, I didn't really hear anything about there being an issue with sight lines. I mean, it is just one of those places where the spotter stand is in the grandstands. So
Right.
like the very top. Sometimes that can be an issue, but I didn't hear of that any this weekend. So I'll give him an 8 on that too.
Oh yeah, so 8 on facilities. Up next, bathrooms and concessions. So the elbow room and the bathroom, the cleanliness, the shitter comfort, food quality, and menu items. What we got for?
So this is where they're gonna get hurt, man. I actually sent it to you too, but so I had a team member this weekend try the food. Said the food was great. So that's probably gonna save them. Their bathrooms aren't like Orange County, so I don't want to be too harsh, but they're also nothing to like rant and rave about. They do not have locks on the stalls. That's a problem.
That always hurts.
Yeah, I mean, we've pretty much told you if you don't have that.
I don't think they've had locks on stalls ever.
Not that I can recall. So that's unfortunate. And then, like I said, I mean, they're not like dirty by any means, man, right? But like they're nothing, ain't nothing special about them. I mean, you got the old trough, so.
Pretty hit.
Yeah, so like I said, they're better than Orange County, but they're nothing to rant and rave about. I haven't heard anything bad about the food. But as far as like, and then too, in there in the infield, I mean, it's like 2 stalls and like, depending on who's using the trough, maybe only even one person can be over there. So I feel like we got to give them like a 5.
All right, so a 5 on the bathrooms and concessions. How about the surrounding area? What is that? Burlington is probably your hotel town, so nice little happening spot there. So surrounding area,
again,
how's the hotels, nightlife, and things to do?
Yeah, and everybody remember new this year, me and Dylon, because we felt like it was that was the fairest way for us to do it. It's also based off of what we're able to do. That's another one that's a home race for me, so I'm able to come back home. But we did go out afterwards. After the race Saturday in Burlington, we went to Drake's. First time ever being there. Kind of like a kickback jack / yeah, I mean, that's probably, yeah, I mean, it's just like a sports bar. Yeah, but food was good. Drinks were good. There's quite a bit happening right there. I mean, you got Alamance Crossing. There's probably 12, 15 places to eat at, and some other stuff if you're looking to get into something at night. So
Strip clubs?
Now, I can't comment on that. I don't know. I don't think so, right around in there.
Damn.
But if the wives like to read like mine does and yours, there's big-ass Barnes & Noble over there, so they're always happy about that.
We were thinking 2 different things.
Yeah. So, but no, man. So, for me, like I said, again, being able to stay at home, that's always nice some weekends, especially before we go on the stretch midsummer where we're traveling up into Northern Virginia quite a bit. So, I'll give it an 8.
All right. Let's do some quick math, shall we? All right, quick math done. After all that, 7.0 for Ace Speedway, which is pretty solid. Good improvement. I think their effort on the track and repainting some lines and doing some stuff like that, and obviously they're quick, staying on top of everything. Obviously, I think helped improve the score this year. So up to a 7.0. And could even maybe improve that even more and sniff the 8s if they get the damn locks on the bathrooms. I mean, honestly, that's like all they really lacked. So
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, good 7.0 for Ace Speedway here in 2025, and we only go there once this year, so that is their final score for the season. So pretty good little score there. All right, moving on. The championship hunt was obviously shaken up a little bit. Connor Hall now leads Landen Lewis by just 4 points, so Landen is closing in. Cade Brown is 5 behind Landen, and then Ronnie Bassett Jr. is close behind Cade there. So everybody's close. That top four is starting to shake itself out. Minnie Tyrell, I think, is roughly 40 points out now of the lead after two DNFs in a row, I believe, right? Brandon, is that correct?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Minnie had two DNFs in a row now.
No, he finished, I
Did
think.
he finish? Okay.
Pretty sure he
I'm
did.
not real sure what happened there, but
I mean,
anyway,
yes, he got torn up, but
yeah,
he did
got
finish.
torn up. Not a good day for him, but
No, yeah.
anyways, he point top five is still close, but top four is starting to pull away a little bit after a couple of tough runs for Minnie. But obviously, he can get hot at any time, so you can see that change at any week. Wilkesboro could literally completely shake that all up, so we'll see what all happens there. There's a lot of momentum building over, obviously, in the Landen Lewis and the KHI camp. I think that is that's something to watch out for. I mean, I think all of us started writing Connor Hall as like an easy championship favorite, but like Landen Lewis has definitely got something to say about that, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty obvious to point out now after he won, so don't really make us look like a Nostradamus sitting here talking about it now. But yeah, I mean, obviously he's here to stay. He's running the whole year. He's got really good stuff. Plenty of race cars to go out there and lay it all on the line each week. So I do think there's a good chance that you could see this guy put a whole lot of pressure on Connor Hall over these next few weeks, especially because I do feel like this is that part of the year where the championship is really kind of made. You seen like last year, this is where you seen Butterbean and Connor, they were racing hard, and you would see Connor win some races, but also you would see Butterbean win some races, but you'd never really see Butterbean have a terrible day. You know what I mean? Pretty rarely you would see that, and sure enough, towards the end of the year, it comes together for him. He wins the championship, so like that could be the same scenario for Landen Lewis here. I mean, we don't know what's going on, and that's not to count out Cade Brown and Ronnie Jr. and then also and even Minnie Tyrell at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think what is to just be pretty blunt about it, and obviously I could be proved wrong, and if I am, I'll be the first to come on here and say that I am. I think the difference this year is what is interesting right now. You're seeing something that, man, I don't have much recollection on it if it's happened in recent years, and when I say recent years, I'm going to go all the way back to like COVID year with the junior motorsports program where they have, not obviously really from their doing, I guess you could say, so to speak, but had two bad races back to back. It'd be hard to find where they had two bad races, period.
Right.
But it's damn sure hard to find in a car store season where they've had two bad races.
Yeah.
Normally, and this is nothing against them, it's just that's who you got to beat, right? So everybody's waiting around for that night where they do have a mishap. And we're not talking about crashing folks or having a DNF, but like, let's just be honest, like even this past weekend at Ace, for some people you might be like, well, is 11th a bad night for that program? Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Anything outside of the top three, definitely outside the top five, is going to be a bad night for them.
Mm-hmm.
He finished 18th at Orange County. So, it's been a back-to-back week here where it's allowed those guys, like we talked about, Landen Lewis, Minnie, or could be for Minnie. Obviously, he's been the other, so it's not just been one guy having bad luck. There's been two. Ronnie had unfortunate luck this past week. I mean, his car looked like a modified, so did Minnie's. But so where you've seen Cade Brown gain a decent amount of points, obviously Landen Lewis gained a ton of points, and then even Landon Huffman is now kind of being the sneaky one, I guess you could say, so to speak. But yeah, right now I think definitely the point of emphasis. It's still probably too early to talk about points a lot. I've definitely heard a lot of the media outlets already asking guys about it. But I think any of them, outside of maybe the junior stable, as far as like their guys. I mean, I think Connor probably is, at least a little bit, but it'll be interesting to see how these next few weeks unfold. And I think me and you can agree that the big question mark in there is, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how it falls for you, the next one, because Wilkesboro is always kind of a question mark.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff can happen here within the next just couple of races. So I mean, anything the points to be shaken up completely. So don't want to spend too much time talking about it. Obviously, I mean, it's like I said, we're 4 races in. We got plenty of racing left to go. 11 to be exact. So
I think we're 5 in now, ain't we?
or 5 in, right? Yeah, 5 races
Yeah.
in now. 5 in, 10 to go.
So it's a third of the way of the season.
Yeah, 5
So
in, 10 to go. So
Yeah.
still got a lot of racing left to go, and yeah, I mean, I don't. Obviously, Wilkesboro is kind of I've said it a few times already. It's kind of the marquee event. It's a good. Not that every other race doesn't matter, but I think all the races at the start of the season typically are kind of the build up for Wilkesboro, and then there's kind of a post Wilkesboro phase, and then there's a championship. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a neat phase of how everybody like utilizes their cars and secondary cars and what they have and everything. It's an interesting part of the season right now, and literally, like we said, it's a third of the way through. So things are starting to shake up a little bit. You're going to start seeing some new drivers and teams show up, like myself, and it's getting to that point of the year. So things are going to keep getting pretty damn interesting. Also, speaking of interesting, I heard there was some ice cream at the racetrack past weekend.
There was Buddy Scoops out of the Bassett family, and it was phenomenal.
I bet so.
They brought that in on Friday. I wasn't quite sure if it was going to be open on Friday, but when we were waiting for the racetrack to open on Friday, they brought the trailer in, and then I caught wind that it was open, and I do not think it took very long Friday for them to have a lot of business. I do know that me and my crowd, I'm pretty sure just about everybody on my team went over there and got something. And then Saturday, I know it got to the point where they had a wait over there, and I think a lot of it also had to do with A, people talking about it from Friday, and B, it rained and got humid as hell afterwards, and immediately the ice cream line grew. So really cool. Anybody that hasn't followed that, I think you should look into it. If you're around the Winston-Salem, Lexington area, go check them out at their brick and mortar, at their actual store.
Yeah.
But they do have a trailer now that I do think they're going to try to bring to as many races as they can. Bassett's are a great family, and it was really cool to support them and this new endeavor that they're doing for some of the children. And like I said, it was a big hit. So, and also kudos to the tour and everybody there this weekend, though, too, for supporting it. Because, like I said, I do know it got a lot of support.
Yeah, hopefully, I was telling you off camera, I need to see if we can work something out to bring them up to the go-kart track or something along those lines.
Be a big
if we
hit,
have
man.
a big enough event to where we can get a whole lot of people buying some ice cream from the boys.
Man, I think after some of the campers try it, man, you just have them coming out of the woodworks even.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. I don't think it'd be hard to sell much ice cream in that area for sure. So I will. I'll definitely hit them up. I'll hit Ronnie up and see what kind of availability they have. But that would be sweet. I didn't realize they had a trailer, and I'm a big ice cream guy. So
yeah,
we got Wilkesboro coming up. So leading into that, that's a good caveat into the next wave of information, and that is that Wilkesboro is right around the corner. I think you guys already know that. May 16th, we'll be at the North Wilkesboro Speedway with the Cars Tour. I think we're all very excited for that, but since we're all so excited for that, and since we could talk about that for a good 45 minutes to an hour, and we are literally in the 50th minute of this episode, we're going to save that for another episode. Next Thursday, we will come back and be talking to you on the intro or the preview for Wilkesboro. Maybe a little bit different scheduling. I'll kind of update you guys on social media, but yeah, there will be a preview episode for Wilkesboro. So be looking for that, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I know we practice and qualify Thursday, so I might end up doing a big time Wednesday or something just to get it out a little bit earlier.
Thursday is going to be big time in Wilkesboro. It's going to be big time and long.
Yeah, it's a long early morning. We got a 7:30 drivers meeting. We'll talk all about that on the next time here on Big Time. But before we get off of here, be sure you get on the old device. Give us 5 stars. Give us a rating, a like, subscribe. Turn the notifications on if you're on YouTube. Pretty much that's all I'll upload on my channel right now. I will upload some Wilkesboro content. I'll give you more information next week on the next episode about all that, obviously, but just stay tuned. There's going to be content coming out. I'm going to try to film my week of just the happenings, try to do like kind of a mini documentary sort of deal, just kind of film by myself. And so I'll have that coming out, and we're talking about doing maybe some podcast on site. We will see what all comes of that. I do have a lot of plans. We're going to do some go-kart racing. We're going to do some other stuff. Like I said, another episode coming out, so I won't leave you guys all in the dark. Should be coming out probably Wednesday, I would imagine. I'm spitballing this as I go here, so we'll keep you guys in the loop there. Appreciate you guys listening once again. Big Time Auto Racing. We're going to try to come out with episodes every Thursday after the Cars Tour races, and also leading into some races that we're both racing on Thursdays. So
yeah, and keep in mind, guys, because it is Thursday now. It is Mother's Day this weekend, so happy early Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. And if you're listening to this and being that it's Thursday and you haven't done anything yet or gotten your mother anything yet, you can thank me and Dylon later, because get your ass to the store and get on that. So make sure you take care of your mamas this weekend, everybody. Give them love, especially before we all head into a big early week at Wilkesboro next week. They are very important in all of our lives, and it's time to show them some love this weekend. So
it is big Mother's Day weekend. We got a lot of prep to do before Wilkesboro, so stay tuned, everybody. Obviously, mine and Brandon's Twitters are posted in the bio below the episode. You can go see all that, everything we're doing. We've got some talks about doing some separate content with BTAR in the future, but again, another episode coming next week. Anyways, good time tonight. I will be seeing you guys next week on Big Time Auto Racing.